carry on Mr. Bowditch, chapters 19 through the end of the book. Okay. We meet Nat actually in the climax of the book. If we were doing a plot diagram, we've had, the exposition where we found out about things, and then we've had rising action where Nat is continually presented with different problems, and you see that a major theme is for him to persevere, and especially in academic knowledge, using academic knowledge. Well, Nat has come back from sailing. His wife has died. His brothers have died. And others in the community have died, and it's because of errors in Moore's tables, so errors in book sailing. So here he spent his whole life trying to do this book sailing, and so Nat is in the worst mood we have ever seen him in. He's making some emotional decisions, saying things like, I'd sail anywhere with anybody. When he does get on the ship, we're also going to be talking here, let me see if I can get a pointer, about Lupe, sorry. And when he is trying to ask Nat to help him learn things and kind of getting up the courage to do that, Nat is so fearful and emotional and upset that he's afraid of Lupe. And really, Lupe's just following him around while Nat does his lunars and different things to try to work up the nerve to say, hey, I want to learn to do this. I want to kind of become one of you. Okay. Lupe is another character that's a foil of Nat. He is uneducated, but highly motivated. Okay. And he takes initiative. And we see that, even though he can just add and subtract, Lupe's going to do well because he has the nerve and the initiative to do what it takes. Okay. We also found another character, Mr. Townsend, and he is not interested in, working hard or learn anything. He just wants to remain top dog and do the minimal possible to remain top dog. And so that kind of shows us what that looks like. Then we have Polly, and Polly becomes Nat's wife. And I want to mention, did you see how much more developed Polly is than his former wife who died, Elizabeth, was? She, just is constantly trying to make his room a place where he can do his work well. She's trying to keep things quiet for him. She is self-sacrificing, supportive of what he's doing. She doesn't, oh, I want to spend time with you. She knows and says, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes for you to do what God has called you to do, and it's write this book right now. Oh, definitely a better situation for developing a marriage, character there. Okay. I wanted to go over a term that we're going to call, it's called flashback. It's a literary term, and it means to take the reader's mind back to a different part in the story, or even just for a character to flashback to something that the reader's never even heard about. But it's where the action of a story is interrupted and you go, oh, by the way, back in the past, such and such happened. So let me tell you the example. When Nat and Polly were on their honeymoon, the moon is full, and then even Polly ends up jingling silver in her pocket for good luck. And of course, this reminds both us and Nat of when he was a child and he was going to sneak out of the house to jingle that silver to try to change his family's luck. Okay, this flashback is really important because once again, we are wanting our luck to change. Remember, I told you Nat is in the climax where things are not going well for him. And here he is writing a book on book sailing, and he's almost afraid to tell anybody because nobody believes in book sailing right now. They've just had a bunch of accidents. Okay, so we once again wonder, are things going to change? Because when they moved, things didn't change back when he was doing it the first time. Are they going to change this time? Okay. The other thing, and this isn't, well, it's kind of a flashback, but anyway, so shows sort of a progression in our character from beginning to end. A main character, a protagonist, changes throughout the story. So we've got, first of all, Nat as a young boy doing basically a penny, a shilling expectation. Maybe he'll make some money giving it to these sailors. Then we have him buying a small amount of shoes and selling them to try to make some money. And now we have him buying 1/3 of a boat. And he talks about, I've always been a capitalist, always trying to earn interest on his money, or to make money using kind of an entrepreneurship type ways. And so we see that our character has grown from a little boy with a penny up to now he's a man buying 1/3 of a boat. So those flashbacks help us see the progression of our character. Okay, lots of themes here in the end of these books. Once again, we have that, the details of your work people depend on and have to be correct. And you have to work hard or it affects everybody. In Nat's case, people could die if he gets his stuff wrong. Okay? We have a theme of common sense versus academics. Okay? And this has been throughout the book. All right? Which is the better way? Do you need both ways? That sort of thing. Okay, this really comes out, with the people saying, that book stuff, that's just silly. You only thing is the lookout, and all that kind of stuff. And getting people to go, there is something too that God has made an orderly universe, and we can academically study it and go much farther than what just our simple common sense looks at things can do. Okay. Another thing we're going to talk a lot about is heroes wear many different faces, okay? I liked when Nat is working real hard on this book and he's staying up all night and all of this stuff, and everybody's going, why are you doing this? And he realizes, I am saving lives. Yes, I am not doing CPR. It doesn't look like it, but he really was, and probably many, many more lives than if he was, of course you wouldn't stop somebody from doing CPR which is, kind of trying to get somebody's heart going again if you don't know the term CPR, because you're like, it's so important. Well, Nat's was going to save thousands and thousands of lives if he got those figures correct. So on a long-term saving lives project, is it possible to work too hard? That was something that was kind of explored, and where is the line on that? I thought that was an interesting one. Okay. Hard work yields success. Okay. And so we start seeing when Nat becomes a ship captain. Well, first of all, we see him, he actually gets his Harvard degree for his hard work on the book. He gets to be a ship captain. And so we're starting to see at this point that we're back at the falling action. Things are falling in place, and yes, success follows hard work, okay? And all that, remember, we're talking about carry on, Mr. Bowditch, that persistence, okay? At the same time, this word is entrepreneur, and it means somebody who starts new things. If you are a leader, an entrepreneur, you will have naysayers, okay? Naysayers are people that are doubting you and pretty verbal about it. So that's part of it, and you're going to have to be strong, okay? You will fail if you are trying new things. Try again, okay? And this is a theme in here. Just because something is hard, just because you fail a little bit, just because people say, why are you doing this? does not mean that you don't carry on. You do what is right, you work hard, and you do the details, even when you can't see where you're going. Okay? All right. It's also explored just the I'm trying to think of a good word to say it, but combining traditional methods and technology and academics, combining all those things is often the safest, the best route. Don't go too far in one direction. Okay. I'm calling this next one jumping from the frying pan into the fire. That's an idiom, an expression, and it means being upset and then jumping into a worse situation. Okay? Easy to do, quite frankly. Watch out for that. If you are upset and emotional, you can make some really bad decisions. And you may think it can't get any worse, and then you make that bad decision and you realize you were wrong and it's too late. You went already from the frying pan into the fire. Well, Nat was home with his wife had died. All these people were, saying his ship stuff's going by. And and you heard him say, I'd go anywhere on any ship with anyone. And he was like, oh, goodness, I sound emotional. And he got embarrassed. And yeah, exactly. So remember, look for the right thing to do, always, especially if things are hard. Not the easiest. When you're looking for the easy way out or to try to escape a bad situation, you can make some ignorant decisions. Okay, so be aware of that. Okay, one thing that was mentioned in passing is, will anyone pay attention to an American book? And this is something to talk about too. That's basically a prejudice statement. It's, Americans back then, remember, this was the time of the Revolutionary War. So we were the guys living in the wilderness on a new little settlement in this place most people had never been to. And Europe was the big cultural, center of the world. And so they were like, those, people that live in the woods in the U.S., they couldn't make a good book. Okay? Make sure that you don't do that, okay? Don't discount a certain, activity or anything, because of a grouping people are in. I'll tell you one that upsets me is people will have some prejudice against homeschoolers and say, well, a homeschooler couldn't, you name it. So that's, let people prove themselves. Don't just lump them into a. Okay? All right, for our thinking activity, okay, I want you to write a definition of hero in your own words. Just what's a hero? Okay? Then I want you to list the careers that you think of when you hear the word hero. Firefighter, police officer, surgeon. Make a list. Okay? Then I want you to redefine your hero looking at those careers and thinking, well, what makes a firefighter a hero? Okay? And I kind of hate to explain the next slide. I don't want you to get ahead of yourself. But anyway, after all of that, to go in order, don't skip on me. I want you, stay outside for a minute, sorry. I want you to list some of the ordinary careers of men that you respect. Okay? Like your dad or your uncle or, just different things. Maybe it's that they, I don't know, maybe they're a scientist, or maybe they, work in a factory, or maybe they, whatever. Just list those careers next to the person, somebody that you respect, though. Okay? Now, after that, I want you to write down, how could you glorify God as a scientist? Okay? Maybe if you think in the opposite, sometimes it's help. How could you not glorify God as a scientist? And kind of work through, how is this person glorifying God or not glorifying it? How as a factory worker? How as a whatever? Okay? Then I want you to go in these ordinary careers. how can these guys self-sacrificially save lives in some way? Okay? How could a scientist develop some new understanding of the way God ordered the universe that will end up saving lives? Maybe it's spiritually, maybe it's physically. Okay? How could somebody in a factory notice maybe what am I trying to say? Like a safety concern, and have the nerve to bring it up to the boss and get it addressed? That could save a physical life. Or how could they be an encouragement? Or how could the way that they're doing whatever they're making their products somehow or another do that sort of thing? Okay. Then I want you to re-look at your hero definitions. See if these ordinary careers don't have some hero aspects to them. I hope that you find that they do. And then I want you to pray about what God wants you to do to pursue for His glory and to self-sacrificially save lives. Okay? And I guess my point here is Nat was a hero, even though he wasn't a firefighter or in the army or whatever. He's what he did sitting at a desk has saved countless lives. Okay, and so we're all called to different things, and if we're doing what we're called to do, and in a way that glorifies God and loves others, you're a hero. So I want you to think about that. Thank these ordinary men. Let them know that you understand they are a hero, and they're a hero to you. Last thing I want to just talk about real quick is just going to read to you the last couple of sentences in the book, just to kind of once again hit that theme of the entire book, the big theme. Polly asks Nat, she goes, "Was it awfully hard?" Well, let me back up. Nat's arms tightened around her. Somewhere out of the past, a voice whispered, "A long time to sail by ash breeze." "Was it awfully hard?" Polly asked. "Not too bad," Nat told her. "Rough weather sometimes, but I'll say this for it. I was never becalmed." And this is once again a double entendre, double meaning. And he's talking about that he was just sailing and there was all the fog and he got back, later and everything. But he also means his whole life up to this point, he's been sailing by ash breeze, by rowing, out of a hard situation. It wasn't too hard. It was rough, but he was never becalmed. Okay. And that goes back to our title. He carried on. He worked hard, and, he, just kept going, and he was successful through hard work, hard thinking, and caring about others and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this book as much as we did, and look forward to book club when we discuss it.